Hello and welcome to IATEFL Live. My name is Georgie and I have with me Anka and Nikki. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
And of course, I have Penny with me.
Me too.
Nikki?
Mine's gone for a walk. It'll be there in Edinburgh, though.
Aha, has started its way towards Edinburgh.
Yeah, that's what he's doing, exactly.
We are less than a month away from the conference. How are we feeling?
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited.
Trying not to think of all the work, but other than that, really looking forward to it.
And the preparation just to make sure that we're ready for presentations and stuff as well. Yeah. How are you feeling, Georgia?
I'm very excited. We do have some updates with John in a second that we are going to tell you about. And we really want the people watching us from home to tell us how they're feeling about the IATEFL conference coming up soon. We want to know if you're coming to the conference. So if you are coming to the conference, please write this in the comments section as well. If you're not coming to the conference, do not worry. Girls, why shouldn't our wonderful audience worry?
Well, because you can join us during the live shows where we'll be talking about what's happening. We'll be talking to the presenters and showing you around.
And as Georgia says, that is just as good as actually going to Edinburgh and enjoying everything Scottish.
Exactly. So if you cannot make it to Edinburgh, do not worry, because I'm going to show you now. So as you can see, we will have our live show during the IATEFL Live conference, and we will be able to talk to some of the speakers from the conference. We will also be able to show you the latest ELT trends, talk to publishers, talk to sponsors, and of course, play games with not only the speakers, but the delegates as well. Did I forget anything, girls?
I don't think so, Georgia.
Of course, let's say hello to Sean, who will be there in Edinburgh to just actually enjoy himself. Hello, Sean. Brilliant. So if you're watching us from home, feel free to write in the comments whether you will be joining us at the IATEFL conference this year. If not, do not worry, because we got you. We have got a fantastic lineup of speakers who will be joining us. So you will be, it will be like you're there. Exactly. And then, of course, let's say hello to Alex, our IATEFL president, who is watching us. Hello, Alex. Alex, you will be there at the conference. Will you stop by the studio? Let us know. Sean, of course, will be stopping by the studio as well. And another person who will be stopping by the studio is John Barton. Hello, John.
Hello. Now, what give me a good reason to stop by the IATEFL Live studio during the conference?
I will tell you why.
Tell me.
Okay, are you ready? Because
I'm excited and yet nervous.
Around the studio, these little ducks.
Okay.
So if you find this little duck around the conference, come by the studio so that you can talk to us, play a game, and find out more about ELT. What do you think?
So we're on a duck hunt whilst we're going around the conference for 4 days. This is brilliant. I love it. I can guarantee I won't find any, but I'll do my best anyway.
And of course, if you find Nessie, that's another reason to come by the studio.
That's always a possibility, of course. Being in Scotland, you've got to look out for Nessie at the same time.
Brilliant. So, John, what news have you got for us?
Well, do you know, I've got some exciting news for you, Georgia, and this will surprise you. The news is that we've got a conference coming up. I'm sure you've never heard of it, but we've got the international conference coming round incredibly soon, frighteningly soon from my perspective, from the 8th to the 11th of April. And if there's anybody out there who hasn't heard about the conference before, then now's your time. You've still got time to register and to join us at one of the biggest events on the international English language teaching calendar. Georgia, not only is there a conference for 4 days, the Tuesday to the Friday, but on the Monday, the day before the conference starts, there are not one, not two, but 13 different pre-conference events. These are events organized by our special interest groups. They're one-day mini conferences focused on a particular area of the profession. And it's a really nice way to start the conference week. You get to meet with people who have similar interests to you, and focus in on a particular subject within English language teaching. So I would encourage people to jump onto the conference website, which can be found at IATEFLconference.org. And if you select pre-conference events, you can see all 13 of them, choose the one which is of interest to you, and book on it. In the same way, of course, that you can book for the conference. Online booking for the conference, this is important, closes on the 26th of March, so quite soon. So if you are planning to join us in Edinburgh, then do go to the conference website. You'll find all the information there. You'll also find justification letters to give to your employer should you need them. And you can book for a single day, or for multiple days, or for the entire conference. And as I said, the deadline for online booking is the 26th of March. If you miss that, it's not the end of the world, because you can also just turn up on the day at the conference centre and register when you're there. What else can I tell you? Well, another thing which I wanted to mention actually was the evening events, because as you know, an IATEFL conference is not just about the academic sessions, even though there are nearly 600 of those over the 4 days, but it's also an opportunity to make new friends, meet colleagues, and have a good time. And the social program is an integral part of that. So I'd encourage everybody to go to the conference website and select the social program, and you can see the range of things. There are things happening every evening of the conference, and importantly, some of them you can actually register to participate in. Things like our dynamic debates, the music in evening, the incredible, because I saw it last year, the incredible lip sync battle. You can actually participate in that. It's fantastic fun. So do go along and have a look at the social program. In terms of the academic program, well, that is all part of our conference program. And I can say that our conference program will be on the website very soon, in a matter of days. So look out for that. And that's a really good starting point if you have registered or you're thinking of registering, to start planning your days and choosing the sessions you want to participate, you want to enjoy, because we all work in the profession, but we all work in different areas of the profession. And with nearly 600 academic sessions, there will be some of particular reference to you and a particular interest to you, whoever you are. So as soon as the program's out, and you'll see us shouting about it on social media, do go and start planning your time with us. Georgia, that's it. I've got nothing more to say about the conference unless you've got any questions.
John, yes.
Oh,
I do have a question.
Right. Go on then. I'll do my best to answer it.
You know, around this time of the year, I do have this sort of stress and anxiety because because I want to attend everything. So how can I deal with this stress? And of course, I'm pretty sure that a lot of our delegates and speakers are feeling the same way that I'm feeling?
It's a really good question. I think the first thing I'd say is look out for a future live stream we'll be doing just before the conference, where we'll be talking about making the most of the conference. But from my experience and talking to lots of other experienced delegates, I think there are three important bits. The first thing is planning. Look for the sessions of real interest to you in what your sector of the profession is and plan those. Secondly, maybe choose 2 or 3 sessions which are totally different, just to see a different angle. And I think that's always a really nice thing. And third one, I would say, is actually don't overdo it. It's an incredibly all-encompassing experience over 4 days. And if you try and attend every session and every slot, you can't do it and you'll have burnout from the conference. So just give yourself little breaks where you can perhaps go into the exhibition and find out from nearly 50 exhibitors all that's new in the world of English language teaching. Sit down quietly and have a little break. Join one of our mindfulness sessions at the start of each day and actually just pace yourself, because you can easily burn out at the conference.
Absolutely.
And go and have a look for ducks as well. That's obviously the thing to do.
And can I just say that last year I used to go to the mindfulness sessions early in the morning. It was exactly what we needed. It was perfect because it was quiet. We were just connecting with ourselves, the knowledge that we were absorbing. It was just incredible. Now, John, I have got one more question for you. It's not me really, but it's Cecilia who is asking, is it possible to attend online?
Okay. The answer to that, Cecilia, is yes and no. So the conference is a face-to-face event. However, because IATEFL is a charity, and one of the ways in which we support the English language teaching community worldwide is each of our plenary sessions will be shared free of charge on our social media platforms a little later in each day. So you can participate in that. The second thing I would say is to dial in to IATEFL Live and the fantastic team here who will be recording live from the conference and interviewing lots of interesting people and talking about the topics that are of main sort of, that are the current topics in English language teaching. And the third thing is that what we started 2 years ago, and we will still be doing this year, is we will be listening to delegates and volunteers and choosing some of the most talked about, some of the most popular, some of the most controversial topics from the conference, and running an online event later in the year where each of those sessions will be shared again, and that gives everybody an opportunity. So hopefully that answers your question. It's not hybrid. We don't offer the whole conference online. It would just be simply impossible because we have nearly 20 sessions running in parallel every 45 minutes for 4 days. But you can get the experience of the conference by joining the IATEFL live team, see the plenary sessions, and if you go to the IATEFL conference website, you can actually see plenary sessions from the last conference and the last few conferences as well, and then join us for IATEFL themes later in the year.
Amazing. John, thank you so much. This sounds all so exciting. And I cannot wait to see you.
Well, it'll be lovely to see you too. Absolutely. Yes. I'm sick of looking at people on screens. It's always so nice to actually see everybody face to face once again. So yeah, really looking forward to that too.
Absolutely. John, thank you so much for the updates.
Sure.
We will see you soon.
Will do.
Excellent, thank you. And as John said, we will be running the IATEFL live shows every day during the conference, so feel free to join us there. Now, before I welcome our plenary speaker, who will be talking to us and giving us a sneak peek of the conference and his plenary session, let's look at the promo for our IATEFL Live.
Love it.
Yeah, it's exciting. And we're joined by Neil. Our
Also
Friday
exciting.
speaker Neil. Hello, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, excited. Are you excited about the conference?
I'm quite excited. Yeah, it's becoming real now. It's like as time goes on.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, and it's going to be here before we know it. Neil, before we kind of get more into the crux of your talk and find out a bit more about what you're really interested in, tell us a bit about your journey in ELT. How did you get to where you are now?
I think, well, my story probably is quite similar to many people. It started with a certificate, and I just kind of finished my university career, and I was thinking about what I'm going to do next. So I did a CELTA, and my big plan was to travel with that qualification. But it was just before I was living in Glasgow, and I think around about the year 2000, the Glasgow City Council signed a deal with the Home Office in the UK, which meant that almost overnight, thousands, I think around about 6,000 asylum seekers who were being housed in the south of England were moved up to housing in Glasgow. And as part of that deal, the City Council received a lot of money to fund language classes and other training for the people that were coming up. And I very quickly got a job straight after my CELTA in I should describe it as a scout hut in one of the less glamorous areas of Glasgow, in which there were like 15 to 20 women, asylum seekers whose husbands were able to go to the local college, but they were supposed to look after the kids at home. And I got a job with a charity that gave the women a break, and they had a creche for the kids. And the break was me. I gave them English classes. And so I don't think my CELTA, to be honest, I'm not sure what my CELTA prepared me for in my teaching career, but it certainly wasn't this experience. But I quickly realized that I wasn't going to go anywhere very fast, and I had a big challenge to basically learn how to teach and work with this type of group. As a result of that, I started working in the local further education colleges and teaching English, so not only to refugees, asylum seekers, but migrants when we had a big wave of people coming from Poland, for example, from the east of Europe. And so that I didn't really go anywhere for quite a long time. I stayed in Glasgow, and I worked in further education. And so that takes us up to around about 2000, late 2000s. I did take a year sabbatical. I started teacher training, so I was working in Central America, working for a charity there. And not long after I came back, I made a decision to move to Spain with my partner, who's from Barcelona. And in Barcelona, I continued teaching, and I set up a cooperative of, well, we called it a cooperative of kind of language professionals. We weren't just teachers. There were people that were doing translations, proofreading, materials development, all sorts of language related jobs, but in a freelance capacity. And we set up a co-op called SLB, Serveis Lingüístics de Barcelona, which is Barcelona Linguistic Services. The co-op's still going. And the idea there was just to be able to work as freelancers, but have a support network and resources to help each other do that. And that takes us really up to last year, where I took a job at University of Glasgow. So now I'm working as a lecturer in English for academic purposes on a project which is basically a partnership between Glasgow University and a university in China. So that's more or less my journey up till now.
That's your story. Brilliant. And it does sound like you had quite the baptism of fire when you began straight after your CELTA. And is it through working at the university that you came up with your idea for the plenary, this conference?
Sorry, say again.
Is it through your work at the university in Glasgow that you came up for the idea with the plenary, the topic?
Right. No, I would say that it's been a long-standing interest of mine is task-based learning. I think probably when I was working in further education in Scotland, even though a lot of the times, you were given a course book, like in many language teaching scenarios, it was more obvious, I think, in those classes that the course book didn't really fit students' needs. The course books were designed for a kind of EFL type class, and not really designed for adults living in the country where they need English for survival. And also in Scotland, we have a system of qualifications which are quite task-based in nature. So at least they were at that time. So to get a kind of equivalent of an A2 certificate, you had to do an assessment that involved, for example, it might have involved buying a train ticket or something like that, and some kind of little transactional task or some social type of task. So that kind of directed us to think about language learning in terms of the things people need to do with it. And I'll never forget a colleague of mine, Ken McDougall, a good friend and a colleague at the time, he said, why are we teaching students to, do things to language? We should be teaching them to do things with language. And I think that's a really good definition of what TBLT is about. I mean, it's learning by doing, but all learning is by doing, really. I think the difference is that rather than doing things to language in the form of like lots of grammar type of exercises, you're trying to achieve things with the language, and that's what we were doing a lot of the time. So I didn't really know that was a kind of approach until later, and I realized there was a whole load of research and development had gone into the concept of task-based learning, and then from that point it all kind of started to fit together for me.
Okay. Yeah, Anka.
Listening from home now, what is a task that you've done in the past that worked really well?
Wow. I would say, so if I could just refer to a project I was involved with the last couple of years. So I mentioned the cooperative SLB in Barcelona. We were involved in a project that was funded by Erasmus Plus, and it was to develop tasks for people training to be waiters or to work in the hospitality industry. And one of the favorite, you can predict the tasks that waiters need to do, right? And if they're working in a second language, but sometimes there were things that we didn't quite anticipate. And we found out about these tasks because we did quite a detailed needs analysis. So it transpired that an important task for waiters, if they're dealing with people coming from different countries, is that sometimes in a restaurant there'll be cultural decorations, and customers will ask, what does that mean? That might refer to some Easter celebration, or it could be Christmas or something, but it's not the typical symbol that people recognize. And so there's some very good examples of people know the Christmas traditions in Catalonia, where I was living for quite a long time. There are some rather weird things there that I probably shouldn't mention in detail at the moment, but they would definitely provoke questions. And so one of the tasks that I really enjoyed designing and trialing was how waiters deal with questions about cultural, let's say, symbols or artifacts. So I think anything there that, in that case, it's like kind of information gap task. The customer doesn't know what this thing's about, and they're asking for a kind of explanation. They'll probably be asking questions to clarify, because it's going to be a little bit mind-blowing for them what the explanation actually is in the Catalan context. But because we're working with partners from other European countries, so we had partners from Serbia, Slovenia, Romania, and they in turn brought up traditions that people might ask about in their countries if they went to visit a restaurant at certain times of the year. So I learned about some very interesting Easter type traditions in the Balkans. So yeah, a task like that, which involves kind of interesting cultural stuff, is one example of tasks I've enjoyed designing and doing with students.
Fun, and sounds out of the box. Like you said, it's not the regular task you think of for a waiter, but I'm intrigued. In fact, right after this live show, I'll be Googling Christmas traditions in Catalonia just to know what I'm missing
out. You should do, yeah.
And Neil, is there anything that you're super looking forward to in Edinburgh?
I quite enjoy Edinburgh, although I've spent most of my life in Scotland in Glasgow. you know, I don't want to get into Scottish kind of intercity rivalries, but it's certainly true that for all the beauties of Glasgow, Edinburgh gets a bit more sun, and I think it's probably quite a nice time of year to be in Edinburgh. So I'm looking forward to that. And I don't know, maybe a trip to Portobello Beach, but I don't know if I'll go for a swim or not.
Oh gosh, I wasn't like even thinking that the beach might be an option at this time of year.
People forget Edinburgh's got a beach, yeah.
Yeah.
I think recognize the true Scot, because last live stream we were actually telling people bring a coat. If you're coming from a warmer region in the world, which admittedly a lot of regions are, bring a coat, because spring in Edinburgh is still not going to be as warm as you might expect.
It's probably wise, yeah.
But swimming, wow, yeah, that's definitely hardcore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I heard the word swimming and beach, and I was thinking, did we relocate the conference to a magical, beautiful beach? So Neil, are we going swimming at the conference?
I can point you in the right direction, Georgia. That's all I'll say for the moment.
But you will not be joining.
It depends where the plenary goes, you know. Maybe I'll be taking a very long wade out into the North Sea.
Neil, I do have another question for you, and the question really is about the conference itself. So have you seen any of the sessions from the conference that you are really looking forward to attending?
I haven't had a chance to have a very deep dive, but I have noticed a couple of people whose work as teacher trainers I really respect. So I think there's a talk by Emma Mead Flynn that I'm quite looking forward to. There's a talk by, now I'm going to get his second name wrong, Marco. He's the author of one of the few course books that's based on task-based language teaching, a book called Widgets, which is a kind of business English course book, but very kind of task-based, where it's like the students are interns in a company and they have to kind of, I think they have to do some product design and all the other kind of processes that might happen if you were working in a company. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. But yeah, it's such a huge event. I've only been once before, and I remember it being, as Georgia mentioned earlier on, a bit stressful trying to decide what to see. But once I get a chance to look at the program in detail, then I'll make some decisions.
Absolutely. Neil, thanks so much for your time, and we do hope to see you at the studio as well, with or without your duck.
Well, I'd be delighted.
Lovely. Neil, thank you so much, and see you in Edinburgh.
Thank you, Neil.
If I don't see you in the studio, then I'll see you at the beach, right, Georgia? Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Neil.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, girls. So, girls, I have got some very exciting news for the audience.
Okay.
And you're probably going to hate me, but the audience is going to love you. Can I say the exciting news?
Yeah, go on.
I'm intrigued now, yes.
So, for the next 3 weeks, well, 4 weeks actually, we are going to have an IATEFL live show every Thursday.
Yay.
What more could you want, Georgia? What more could you want?
Now, during the next IATEFL live sessions, we will be talking to our plenary speakers. We will be talking to people from head office as well to get some updates, and why not some gossip on what's happening with the conference, what's happening with our studio. The only thing that I can tell you is that the location of our studio this year, oh my goodness, is going to be incredible. So, girls, are we ready?
Oh, yeah.
We are,
Yes.
Georgia. We are.
We are.
My best
So,
already in Edinburgh.
fantastic. So thank you all very much for joining us today. We will see you next Thursday. If you have any questions about the IATEFL conference, please feel free to comment on this live or to join us next Thursday for more IATEFL live gossip, updates, and information about the conference. Thank you very much. Girls, see you next Thursday.
See you next
See you next
week.
week.
Bye, everybody.